lot of them think that style is really superficial, or that style is fashion. Style is not fashion. I know that, sometimes they overlap, so that's why sometimes they are confused. Fashion is the business of fashion. Fashion is a designer. Fashion is a trend. Fashion is Vogue, strike a pose. But then style is really personal, and everyone has their own style. Maybe they haven't discovered yet, but like your style is timeless. Your style, of course, can evolve. Trends come and go, and there are always trends and they can change, so they are timely. But style is timeless. It's always going to be your unique style.
Going off track is taking a chance on yourself.
Following your pulse of curiosity.
It's making your own decisions.
The most wonderful adventure.
Hey friends, welcome to another adventure with Right Off Track, your favorite entrepreneur podcast where we explore the minds of entrepreneurs who are truly marching to the beat of their own drum. I'm your host, Anya Smith. Today's episode is a goldmine for anyone looking to make a lasting impression. Whether you're stepping into a job interview, presenting a business pitch, or simply walking into a room. Our guest is a magician when it comes to the science of personal style and transformative power of color. Here's a twist. She knows how to read you before you even say a word. That's right. She understands how your style speaks volumes about your persona and your purpose. With services ranging from image consulting to style and coaching, she's the person you want in your corner when you're trying to level up in life or make a career transition. She's more than just a stylist. She's a coach who helps you dig deep to find your purpose, which, let's be honest, is a journey we all could use some guidance on. So if you've ever underestimated the power of the outfit you wear or the colors you choose, today's conversation is for you. Brace yourself for the enlightening style wisdom of Loli Olivera, the New York City-based fashion style and coach who helps people not just look, but also feel their absolute best. Welcome, Loli. So excited to have you here.
I'm so excited as well. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. You know what's funny? Now we sit and talk about your style, but way back when we were at Meta in our first training, and it's amazing to see where the world has taken us now.
Yes, and you know what's really interesting? That it was literally on the same month we are now. It was in October, many years ago.
Yes, right?
October 2016, and it was the week actually of October 16th of 2016.
Wow, look at us. And even back then, a while ago, you were also in that space. I remember you had 1,000 followers or something like that, and you were already showing your creative style, but so much has changed since then. So can you share with the audience who maybe some of them already know and love you, which I hope, but maybe some people are just discovering you now, what has been this adventure from in 2016 or even before that led you to where you are now?
Oh my God. I think that this adventure actually started way many years before 2016. I think that it really started with me growing up with a really stylish and fashionable and really unique as well mom and grandmother. My mom and my grandmother have my mom is still here, so she has an amazing and really unique style, and she always looks put together, but she likes unique pieces. And my grandma used to be like that as well, my grandma coming from my mom's side. So I think that growing up seeing them, seeing my mom getting ready, sometimes borrowing some of her pieces as well, accessories, scarves and everything, I really enjoy that. And then that's on one hand. On the other hand, I'm one of 8. So I have 7 siblings that are older than me. I'm number 8 because that's the question that comes after I say that we are 8, right? So there's where you are, what number are you? Almost. I'm number 8.
Wow.
So I think this is what I always say. I think that when I was born, it was almost be yourself. Everyone else is already taken, literally.
Right.
So for me, style, fashion, and the way I dress and the way I look was always a really powerful tool to express myself and to, find like work on my identity and to be really unique and, kind of within all those 8, be like really like different in a good way. But,
Right.
it's like everyone else is taken, like be yourself. So yeah,
Absolutely.
that's
Wow.
when it really started.
So slightly off track, but I have 3 boys. And I know that when you have multiple children, right, the clothes situation especially usually gets passed down, right? So you're kind of wearing the clothes or you're passing down, the older child to another stuff. So with 8 siblings, how do you even manage to have like creative clothes? Because oftentimes you kind of get what's left over.
Well, like I got so many leftovers. But I'm glad you asked. I'm glad you
Right.
asked because this is a really important part of the conversation, right? I like a lot of the things I got to wear were from, my sisters, or like I have 4 sisters and 3 brothers. So the ones coming from the sisters were usually the ones who, were more than the other ones.
Yeah.
And to be honest, that's how someone can add something unique to what you wear. You
Mm.
can go somewhere now and get the same shirt, but the way you're going to wear it and put it on, the way you're going to style it, that's
Yeah.
going to be really personal to you.
Yeah.
That's where you add your essence. It's not the same
Yeah.
like wearing versus styling. So you will add your own like identity, like the things that you like, the way you move, how you express yourself, if you added, like, let's say, if you add accessories to it or not, and what kind of accessories. And so there's many factors. So my goal was also to make it unique in that way. Maybe this, someone else wore this before, but I'm gonna make it different. I'm gonna wear it in a different way. So I think that was also a really, nice challenge for me. And I got to really like that made me enjoy extra every time I got something new, maybe from my grandparents that would take me shopping, and because I always loved clothing. And I would be like so excited, like, oh, I'm adding something new, this is not so common. So it was, really, really nice. And even the earrings that I'm wearing now, they were from my mom.
Oh, they're beautiful. They're
Yeah,
gorgeous.
thank you.
Oh,
So a lot of times I'm still, wearing even not from my family, but I love vintage pieces. I
yeah.
still have items in my closet that were from my grandma, or like there is a yellow cardigan that I'm obsessed with it that was from my grandfather. So yeah.
Oh, I can imagine how lovely that feels to also wear something that has that sentimental value too.
Yeah, exactly. It's and the warmth, it's like knitwear. It makes you feel hugged and
Yeah.
cozy. Yes, I
Oh,
love it.
so now we hear about this childhood, and you grew up as one of 8. You're styling, you love this passion. So then, what took you into tech? Because we met at Meta. What
Yes.
happened?
So here is the thing. I'm, if there is something that really has always been part of me, I'm really transparent,
I love
really
that about
authentic,
you. I love
and
that about you.
I'm gonna be pretty raw here.
Yeah.
Even I always loved fashion, and I was the one, when I was a like teenager in high school, my friends were like, "Can I borrow this from you or this?" Or like, "Can you help me like to see what I'm gonna wear, etc." When I was finishing high school, I also knew that I wanted economic independency. I wanted to see what kind of when I had to decide what I would study in university, I wanted something that would take me to a really good salary.
Yeah.
And I'm from Argentina. I think that I didn't mention this. So I'm from Argentina, from
Ooh.
Buenos Aires. I was born
Ooh.
there. I grew up there and moved to the US like 10 years ago. So I moved, I moved to the US in my 20s. And in Argentina, fashion is unfortunately, and even like back then, didn't mean necessarily getting like a good job or a good salary. So being one of 8, I was really looking forward to being, economically independent.
Yeah.
And I decided to study human resources. I honestly, from that point, human resources has a lot to do with, I've always been really interested in working with like, identity and like people. I'm a really human person. So, then from there, like recruitment, is where I started like applying my knowledge from human resources. And then my goal was to help people to find a better job. That was my goal. So my first job in recruitment was at a headhunting agency.
Ooh.
So I really enjoyed all the strategy side of it. Then like seeing it like, the newspaper and being like, oh, I was behind that. And, calling those people that I will like hunt to be like, let me help you upgrade your life, your job, what you do, like, so to contribute in that way. But at the same time, I was already observing and everything like about image and how that worked. So then I always really enjoyed changing environments and something really dynamic, innovation. And going back to your question that you asked me, why tech, how I ended in tech. When I decided to study human resources, was mostly inspired by Google best practices that back then we were in, like 2008, I think. So 2009. And, Google was really innovating with all their benefits and their human resources practices. So I became inspired by that. And I thought, okay, this is a good way to be like in the business, but at the same time be, working with people and with human beings that are going to work and helping them to have a better life while they are at work, basically. So that's how I knew that at some point I wanted to work in tech. So after doing headhunting, in Buenos Aires, Google had offices, but they didn't have any like human resources team, only one HR business partner or two at the office, and that's it. Gotcha. So I knew that that was not an option there. But there is, because they are so big now, an Argentinian company that they were like doing a lot of things kind of similar to Google, inspired by them, that is called Globant. So, and actually Google was one of their clients. They do outsourcing. Cool. So I started working at Globant. That was my first job in tech. And then from there, with Globant, I moved to San Francisco. With Globant, that they also have offices in San Francisco, made a lot of sense for me to go to the Silicon Valley and become like, to be closer to my ultimate goal of working at Google, the company that inspired me to study human resources. Mm-hmm. So then once that I was already living in San Francisco, I joined Google, and I worked for YouTube at Google. And then after that, after 3 years there, I moved to New York. And when I moved to New York, I really considered, one of the goals of moving to New York was to become, to be closer to fashion academically and or professionally. So before moving, I started looking for jobs. I interviewed at many companies, fashion companies, but still tech companies. And putting everything in the, in the way, the balance was more like towards of, okay, fashion, corporate fashion looked really like Devil Wears Prada, and it doesn't go much with my vibe and my personality. Right. So and also it's a really traditional industry. So all that innovation and like rapid changing environment was not necessarily there. So I decided to go for the Facebook opportunity, Facebook, Instagram, today Meta. And that's how I started. That's when we met. But then I also knew that what I would like to do with fashion, because I would still need to do something with that, was something more academically to then potentially start freelancing and, create my own business.
And I love the journey. And if you mind me asking, along the way, so you tried different paths and you had this kind of goal in sight and then you executed, but you also were on social already when we met, right? So when did you start, sharing that content? Was there a bigger aspirational goal in already happening there? Or was it just like, hey, I'm just sharing and seeing what happens and putting out that out in the world?
No, I'm not the kind of person I'm just sharing. I'm not like that. I need to have like a purpose for everything I do. Otherwise,
Of
I'm not
course.
doing it.
Okay.
So I remember back then, even when I was like living in San Francisco, so years before we
Yeah.
met, I've, yeah, as soon as Instagram came out, I started sharing my looks, and I that was a way for me to kind of like sharing my passion for fashion. And like I needed to put that creative energy like somewhere. I needed to put it
Right.
out there. So that was a good way for me to do it and to share it with more people. But with time, I always knew that that would help me for that day that I decide to do something like more officially with
Yeah.
fashion, you know, creating my own audience and doing my thing out there.
Yeah. And I know we talked about this offline, and feel free to go as much as you want, but what was the final transition that got you out of tech and now doing your own thing?
I'm glad you asked. So I think that every step was really important in the process. Um, so yeah, like literally each step had like their own to be there for me. But finally, what happened is that my body told me, this is it. When my mind, because I've always been a really like, you know, mind body person, like really connected to myself and how I feel and what I need. So I saw it coming that, you know, time was, time was kind of telling me like, now you're doing something academically. Okay, great. This is good and this helps. But we are like, it was my internal self telling me like, I need more of this and less of that, and continuously. But then I got to a breaking point where I started like not having energy and not feeling like myself, and really feeling bad, feeling really bad. And from bad to really bad to like really, really bad. And I can keep going. So it's almost like, you know, I think that it's really difficult when you work, when you've been working for so many years, as for me, it was, you know, like 12 years working in the corporate world, literally nonstop. I never took a break, literally never, never, never.
Right.
Really young working, you know, in the corporate world full time when I was only 18. So I did all the university, college. I did like while I was
Ugh.
working full time, which is
Yeah.
something that you can do in Argentina in certain like universities. But I was like literally working 9 to 6 and then going to university every night to
Yeah.
classes every night, 7 to 10, and sometimes even Saturday mornings as well. And
Yeah.
I did like in 4.5 years. So those years were like extra, you know? So
Yeah.
then after having that, like stability, I guess, for like 12 years. And at the same time, you know, when you, when you live in the US in this society, or, you know, but I think that even when I was in San Francisco, when you live in the US or in a city like New York and you work for one of these companies, it's almost like having a credential, you know, like you can go
Yeah.
anywhere and
Yeah.
people are like, oh, you work at Meta? Like, oh my God, what do you do there? Oh, how were you able to get hired by them? Like,
Yeah.
oh, wow. Like, you know, they don't know you, but by saying that, they put
Yeah.
you up here. And for them, that already means that you are, I don't know, like depending on the person, right? But in general, that you are super smart, that, you know, because it's not just
Yeah.
about making it like to get in, you know, not just being hired, but then being able to perform and
Yeah.
to like keep working there, you know, year by year. So it's like, oh, for how long you been? Oh my God, like 4 years. Wow. So it's now, who am I gonna be? Like when I meet new people, because it's almost like before they ask you like, what's your name or who are you? Is like, what do you do? So it's
Right.
almost like, you know, for the society, it's almost like goes hand in hand with your identity, what you do.
Yeah.
So it's okay. What about if I don't do this anymore? If I don't have that stability anymore, like, you know, financially, economically, but also if I go out, go somewhere And I say, what do you do? I've been like for years saying I work at Meta, at Facebook. Before that, I work at Google, or even Globant in Argentina. I have like amazing reputation. And then we'll be like, no, none of that. So I think that I got to a point where I would say, yeah, I work at Facebook with a really like, with a face like I was, death in life, not like myself, not smiling, not shining. So what's the point if you're going to be like, answering to our question, like even giving that answer, but in that way.
Yeah.
And then besides that, I also got to a point where like literally every reason, like when I talk about more the other side, like the stability financially, economically, when you think about, okay, so because I have this job is that I'm able to go in these like amazing trips that I like to do. I always like to travel and then to go try new restaurants and bars and all of this. And I got to a point where I wasn't hungry. I didn't enjoy eating anymore. I love food and I love to try restaurants. And it's always been like that. So didn't feel like myself.
Yeah.
So didn't enjoy food, didn't enjoy eating, to eat rice and like maybe bananas and like not salt on it, please. The more neutral, the better. Like flavor, like flavorless food. Also don't give me many textures because I will become overwhelmed, which I'm actually the opposite. I really appreciate every texture and detail and flavor. Then travel, guess what? I had a trip planned like even before like feeling like that to Bali. It sounds perfect, right? Perfect destination if you're like burned out. Bali, there is this movie that everyone loves that was filmed in Ubud called like Pray, Eat, Love or something like
Pray,
that.
Love. Eat, Pray, Love.
Eat, Pray, Love, right? Loli was in Bali feeling like with no energy. So I wasn't able to do much, I was like crying, exhausted, like surrounded by beautiful things in an amazing place at a great hotel, but not being able to enjoy it as I knew how I can enjoy that because I enjoyed it in the past many, many times. So I was like, what's the point of having this if I don't get to enjoy it because I don't feel good?
Right.
Last but not least, it really hit my health. And so, yeah, when I said my body, I really meant my body. My body was like, nope, stopped. I started, some of my like blood exams were giving like really like the results were not really good. I found out I had like 2 tumors. Thank God they were benign.
Wow.
Then I was feeling with no energy, literally. I'm a really like energetic person. I always like to do many things and I can do many things and I enjoy doing them. But out of the sudden, I was not able to walk 3 blocks. I would feel exhausted, like 3 blocks, literally. So something was really, really off. So my dad ended up telling me like, listen, you need to take a leave. Like you have to, not about changing jobs, going somewhere else because you don't even have the energy for that. And you're not even being yourself. So you need to stop. You need to take a leave.
Yeah.
You have to take a leave, rest, make sure, you come back to being yourself. And once that you feel like yourself again, then we can talk and see. So that's what I did.
Yeah. Okay. Wow. I love you being so raw and authentic through such a challenging experience. And I think both you and I have seen the ins and outs of this environment. And on the inside, it's funny because people feel like people out externally think this is idyllic scenario. And I think both you and I saw really positive sides of this environment too. Like there were really great parts and teams and benefits and whatnot, but things also change and companies do have to change. And I think that even as I was maturing through a company, I had a sense like I could be doing more, but I didn't know how to do that. And also there was these, things that were changing. Like I feel like I had to set my limits based on what the people around me were like. What was my manager like? Should I be more like her? I need to be more like professional. I need to show up differently to be successful in this environment. And even then, like you have to think, oh, this is very stable. I have this great job. Should be really proud of it. And then layoffs happen too. So for people exited, I got laid off, and I remember feeling like we knew months ahead that we'd potentially be laid off, like feeling like I was pregnant for the third time. I was like, I don't know, maybe because I was having this nausea and just indigestion and the physical signs. And it's amazing how much just how we perceive, like, the environment has an effect on day-to-day life. And to you, I think it's a much more extreme example, but I can relate to some of the difficulties of just the stress-induced lifestyle that we get from this seemingly idyllic environment that people long to be part of, but then you realize, well, is this really serving me anymore? I think it's okay to
Exactly.
have this environment that does work for you, but also heed to the signs when something is changing and no longer serving you.
Yes,
Okay.
definitely. I agree 1000%. I think that for me was, also a different time because it was before COVID, right before COVID. This was 2019.
Yeah.
And I'm saying this because with a lot of things, changed. I think that a lot
Yeah.
of people are starting asking themselves, like, what do I want to do with my life?
Yeah.
Besides, the economic situation and many layoffs and all of that. The fact
Yeah.
that many people were like out of the sun getting this virus, and maybe they wouldn't know if they would make it through it, or
Yeah.
if they wouldn't, because that's what was happening to a lot of their friends or families. So it was like a really bad situation that also invited you to ask you, like, to look at yourself at the mirror, and also the fact that the world stopped, to look
Yeah.
yourself at the mirror and be like, who are you? Who do you want to be? Like,
Yeah.
if you would die a month from now, how would you like to spend like this last month of your life?
Yeah.
So don't, like, kind of like not take anything for granted anymore,
Right.
and ask yourself questions that maybe you never asked yourself before, or if you did, like, okay, to ask yourself those questions one more time and maybe
Yeah.
respond to those questions in more depth. For
Yeah.
me, like, all of this happened before. Everyone was, living life in a different way. And it
Yeah.
was almost like, oh, there are, how do you call this in English? Like, when there are so many, like, fish is like going in one direction.
Yeah.
So it almost felt like everyone, like, there were many fishes going in one direction, and some of them maybe were not so happy or suffering, and you would like observe
Yeah.
them, as you were saying, like your manager or like
Yeah.
maybe coworkers, but they were like, but we gotta keep going. So, like, everyone is going, so we gotta keep going. And
Yeah.
then I was like, I'm like not really feeling it, but like the current is going in that direction. So it
Yeah.
was like extra difficult to be like, you know what, do I want to go in that direction or not? And if not, what would be the things that will come to answer,
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
think that was what happened for me. That's probably why for me, paying a high price.
Yeah. And so now you're going against the current, but you're taking the time to heal on so many different levels. What happens next? So now you're slowing down. What did that time allow for you to do, maybe internally? And what happened then?
So, well, I think that a really important part of, my like healing journey, if we want to put it in that way, was first of all to feel like myself again, to
Mhm.
kind of like be able to step in my power and feel empowered again, as,
Yeah.
that's what how I always learned,
Yeah.
how, especially if I'm going to do something different, or even like find a better job in the same industry, I need to feel empowered. That's like feeling myself. So once that I get
Mm.
to that point, after taking some leave, I went back to the office. So I wanted to be able to experience my everyday job. Even at that point, I was really suspecting, like, this is probably not the for me. But since I'm feeling great now and I'm able to decide, I want to go back. Let me go back, like feeling
Yeah.
myself. It's like now I got new lenses because I went through all this experience.
Right.
And with my new lenses that I almost can see like HD, let me see everything, let me experience everything. And because I got new tools and I'm feeling much better now, I'm also going to be able to take like extra care of myself in order
Right.
to not end up like I ended up, months ago.
Right.
So I did that. It felt amazing. Like, it felt really, really, really good. And the bit between the Loli that went back after spending some time on leave and the Loli before that didn't go on leave yet is that the Loli that didn't go on leave was not able to really make the decision of staying. Like, as the doctor said, like, you have to take this leave. You have to. Then the Loli that went back was the Loli that was able to decide, do I want to stay here? Do I want to go somewhere else? Do I want to do my thing? Like, now that I can decide, I want to make this decision from me being able to do it, not from me being not able to do it. So that was really, really important for me. So COVID, like, I went back, and then like a couple of months after that, COVID happened. And a lot of people were like, oh my God, she's quitting COVID. Like, I was like, you know what? COVID showed up in my life. Even I was already going through this process. So it was not, something new. It was not part of the plan, COVID, like being there for anyone, right? I think that COVID showed up in my case, kind of like to ask me, like, how bad do you want to do your own thing, or how bad you don't want to keep doing this like anymore, even if you could be like working from home every day, even if like the world is stopping, as I mentioned before. For me, it was like, if I get COVID tomorrow and this will be the last month of my life, do I want to spend the last month of my life doing something that I don't really like to?
Yeah.
No, not really. So yeah, it was a really brave decision. Like, a lot of people started calling me and being like, oh my God, like, you really inspire me. How did you do it? Like, give me some advice. And I'm not feeling good. I don't know what I want to do. How did you find your purpose? How did you find like something that you like? We always knew that you love fashion from seeing you at the office or your Instagram or this or that, but it was, like revolutionary. It was like, this fish is going in the other direction. What's going on?
Isn't that so powerful when we think that we're just making a change in our life? And yes, we are, but we're also giving people permission to think bigger about themselves.
Yes.
See that if there's one fish to do it, and you see others, like, maybe they're not going to tell everybody that they admire that, but they reached out to you, and that made an impact in their life too. So your decision is inspiring those other fish who are kind of they're swimming that direction, but they're slow down.
Yes.
And they're maybe starting to question the current, and you're inspiring them to do that.
Yes. No, 100%. I agree. It's like breaking with something that maybe was like so in there. And I think that also the fact that they knew, like, they always seen me as someone like, that for me, work was always really important. I literally always like hit my goal or exceeded my goal. There was not once that I didn't hit my goal. My professional life, my work always was like, I'm still are like super responsible, and I have really high expectations for myself and for like everything I do. And like, so it was, it was not, oh, she's just showing that maybe she didn't like it. It was like, oh, she's been here for years. She came from Google. Then she did this, that, moved countries. And now she's doing this. Like, wow.
Yeah. Okay. Now we're culminating with finishing of tech. What happens next? What was your decision that gave you the foundation to do whatever you want to do next? And also, what were the shitty parts of it?
What do you mean about the foundation?
So how did you decide? What did you say to do next after Meta? You're like, hey, this is not serving me. What next?
Oh, no, I already knew that I quit Meta. I was right before I finished a certificate in image consulting. I studied at Fashion Institute of Technology. So as I mentioned before, once that I decided that I wanted to, when I moved to New York and I decided after interviewing in fashion, no, fashion corporate is not for me. Even I got an offer from LVMH to be the director of corporate recruitment, because if I was going fashion industry, I knew that it would be not from an industry I came with expertise on, but yes, that would be like, recruitment. So I decided not to do that and to start working in tech. But I promised myself, since I'm not going to work in fashion, I'm going to start doing like, some like studying something, putting like all the like fashion, like feeling thirsty about fashion, like in other part, in other area. So it was academically. So that's when I decided to start studying at the Fashion Institute of Technology while I was still working at Meta. And I decided to study the science of the style, the scientific aspects of a style. And after I finished that certificate, which consisted in like multiple courses that I took throughout the years, I knew that I wanted to work as an image consultant and a stylist by myself. I also knew that I wanted to specialize in color analysis, so to take more like color trainings and to keep studying that. And then ultimately to also share that, not just from working one-on-one with people or companies, but also teaching. So I started teaching as well. So I knew like in what I really knew. It was something, not that one day I woke up and I was like, okay, what do I do now? I really like fashion, but I don't know what to do. It was so that's why I mentioned at the very beginning, like everything I do has a purpose or a reason to be there. Otherwise I wouldn't do it.
Okay. So now you had this vision, you have the certificate. So what was then the transition to doing it now full time outside of the tech world?
So it was getting more clients. It was putting myself out there in a different way because, this is interesting because when I joined Instagram and Facebook, for me it was like, okay, this is tech, but at least these are part of the tools, especially for Instagram. I'm going to be hiring engineers that will be like making the tool I used to share my passion for fashion and that I've been using for years. So that's where I found like a kind of connection there. But at the same time, oh my God, look at that. At the same time, my manager used to follow me, lots of my coworkers, a lot of people. It was really normal. You work at Instagram, you use the tool, which is amazing, but also like everyone follows each other. So a lot of times I felt almost like guilty, sharing a lot of things there. I felt a lot of times that, okay, I'm going to share, but like not that much because, I need to almost show the energy and time I have. I only put it in my job.
Right.
So it was interesting. So after that, after I quit, it's like, okay, now, you can literally do even doing if you are get ready with me, this is how you would style this or that. And you're wearing a bra. I don't know if I want to see one of these like engineering managers that then we meet, we have this meeting and then they see me, even it's not necessarily like a super sexy bra or anything, or that you can see something, So when you start thinking about it, for me, it was really to start working on making like a really big shift in the way of like me showing what I can do and putting myself out there in a different way, like much than as I was.
Yeah. And so now you're changing this usage, you're now more open. What were some of the learnings that you had about maybe attracting clients through this medium and also creating content that now serves a slightly different purpose?
So many learnings. I don't even know where to begin. I think that consistency is really important. And for me, it's like for me really challenging at times because as I mentioned before, I like, rapid changing environments. And a lot of times people on like social media, if they like something that you do, they want to see the same thing, like, in a different way, but the same thing 1,000 times.
Right.
And by the time number 30, I'm over it. I'm bored. I get bored,
Right. Yeah.
So it's like, I'm ready to change and start doing something new and something different. But maybe like people are not ready for that yet. So it's maybe me being like, innovating. And at the beginning, people is like, oh, what's going on? Like not understanding much. So it's almost like a trade-off that sometimes it's like, okay, like, am I really bored of doing this? How bored am I? I remember like in 2020, even before the reels were launched, I started posting on my feed, getting ready for nothing because it was 2020. But I created a hashtag. I hashtag up with Loli. And it was even way like literally more than a year before everyone started doing this like, get ready with me, GRWM, you know? So it was like waking up with Loli. I would start every single video. It was like me, like, you know, wearing like a bathrobe or in my pajamas and be like, you know, with some kind of music being like, hey, and like getting dressed.
Yeah.
So then after some time, I was like, you know, reels started. I started doing reels and doing them in the reels format. And then after some time, I was like, no, I'm over it. And then after that, everyone started with like the GRWM. And I was like, oh, wow. I used to do that. I also already get bored and I really stopped. But maybe this is what people want to see. So, you know, where I'm going with all of this, I think that the big learning is to balance out that part of like, you know, consistency versus, you know, also knowing when like enough for you, that you get too bored, because if you're not enjoying it and if you're not inspired by it, it doesn't make much sense anymore. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And what is your, I look at you and you look amazing and you're at these fashion events and like just styling. What is inspiring you right now with all your work, or maybe events or whatever it is in that space?
What is inspiring me? I think that a lot of people are, you know, really, how can we say this? I was literally thinking about that before we started like recording the I think that a lot of people these days are more like connected to the idea of what the society expects from them. The fact that, you know, with TikTok and social media really growing, and everyone is being like more influencing each other, you know, by like the fact that the algorithm shows you more of what you are really looking at and all of that.
Right.
So really influencing each other, but like almost like segmenting you to like one specific thing. Oh, you like this, I'm going to show you more and more. So you keep seeing that and more on that. And you end up going in a really like specific, you know, direction that maybe like, you know, your life, your style, whatever it is, will be much richer with more diversity, you know? So what I'm observing a lot of times is, you know, maybe, people who work in fashion or stylists, or maybe they don't work in fashion, but they enjoy getting dressed, and they are almost wearing like uniforms, you know, the anin being sweatshirt or like any other kind of sweatshirt, and wearing it in a cool way with like a pair of denim and putting the AirPods Max and maybe sunglasses and ooh, cool girl vibes. And I'm like, please do something different, you know? And I think that always like to, I'm a really optimistic person, realistic, but optimistic. You know, I really know that there are a lot of things are wrong and not okay, but I still like to do, okay, what am I going to learn from this? What's the full part of the glass? All of this takes me to a point where is, okay, people really need help finding their true selves, you know, creating that room for like authenticity, like, you know, they need the space for that and to be themselves, versus like, you know, seeing someone else doing this or that or wearing this and being like, they look amazing in it, so I want to look amazing as well. If I put all of that uniform on, I'm going to look as amazing as them. Not really, because you're not them. Maybe yes, but at the end of the day, you are not them. So it inspires me in the way of, you know, people like to help more people find their true style, like to do what they like to do, their purpose, their style. Style is really personal.
Yeah. And question, so we mentioned that sometimes people don't even realize the impact their style has. What are maybe some common misconceptions that people have about style that maybe you see with your clients, and any common solutions or tips you have for them?
So I think that a common misconception, and this actually happens a lot in tech, or still happens, but in other industries as well, of course, is the fact that them think that style is really superficial, or that style is fashion. Style is not fashion. You know, sometimes they overlap. So that's why sometimes they are confused. Fashion is the business of fashion. Fashion is a designer. Fashion is a trend. Fashion is Vogue, strike a pose. But then style is really personal, and everyone has their own style. Maybe they haven't discovered yet, but like your style is timeless. Your style, of course, can like evolve. Trends come and go, and there are always trends, and they can change, so they are timely. But style is timeless. It's always going to be your unique style. So even if you wear a trend, like someone that is fashionable is someone that is maybe following all the trends and going for all those like fashion brands and putting like an entire outfit together, like that it could be being like the latest like designs from Dior or Prada or whatever. But like style is how someone who like style that piece in their own way and maybe mix and match like high and lows or a vintage item with a not so vintage item or whatever it is, they're gonna do it their own way, following like who they are and where they are and what they want. Right. So I think that a lot of people in other industries that are not necessarily fashion see style as fashion, and I don't work there. I'm not fashion. Aesthetics are not my thing, like, but I'm really smart and I do great things. And it's like, listen, you cannot almost like, like separate both things, like, oh, image goes in one hand, and then like whatever is in my brain and how smart I am, my IQ, etc., goes on the other hand. Like, you are one person. Right. And you are not invisible. So, right. Whatever you are wearing, if you have makeup or no makeup, or what kind of makeup you have on, or whatever your haircut is, or your hairstyle, there are so many decisions that you are taking when you are putting yourself out there, and not necessarily walking in an office or a in-person meeting, even, this Zoom, it's, you are there. So it's almost like, take responsibility for it. Don't pretend that like it's going on, because we are putting on even if it's a denim or like sweatpants or like a shirt or a blazer, you had to pick it. You pick it. Maybe not so consciously, but unconsciously, yes. And you are always sending a message with your image. That's the point. So if you're always sending a message, would you rather send the message you want, being intentional and conscious, or you will be like, oh, I don't know about that, but I wanted to tell you something. Listen to me. So it's like, do you like my black hair? Really black, right? Darkest ever. Like, how does it sound?
Very important. And I think you mentioned also that we have short attention spans, and that when we interact with new people, especially, they make a decision about us based on the style they see. Like, not even like, what you look like, but again, they look at your style and the elements, and they make a decision about you quickly.
Yes. First impressions are like really, really important. So, and it's not I'm saying it, they're like literally scientific studies. So people listening to this, if you're curious on learning more about it, I'm sure if you Google like 7 seconds first impression, you'll get some information in the results. But these studies say that we have 7 seconds or less to make a good first impression when we meet someone. And if you want to change that, let's say that you were not able to make a good impression and it was actually a bad impression, and you want to like almost like revert that, and to change that. I don't remember exactly how many hours, but like it could take you, I don't know, it was a crazy amount of hours that you don't even want to know it. So the effort that would take you to change that is much bigger, and so if you want to be efficient and effective, like, it's better for you to put that work in beforehand.
Yeah. And to be completely honest, going this conversation, I had probably also these misconceptions of fashion and style. Because I'm a mom with boys, and not to make excuses, but sometimes I do feel like I put on kind of what's comfy, what's quick, and maybe I'm not using the style as best as possible. But recently, I'm also being cognizant, like, how am I showing up in the world, and how do I want to show up, and what can I do better? And the separation you made, that I don't necessarily need to be following the latest trend, but I can still have a style and realize that what I do put out there has an impact, right? It's a responsibility and also an empowering opportunity to say that, no, it doesn't mean I need to be like sexified. It doesn't mean that I need to put on all this makeup, but just be cognizant of like, what style do I want to have that shows me in the way I want to be shown into the world.
Exactly.
On that, I want to put you in the hot seat and ask, what advice would you have for somebody who maybe feels like, hey, I am so busy and I hear you and that does inspire me. I want to be showing up with better style, but I'm just not sure how to manage all that, whether it's from like, do I need to buy more outfits? Do I need to understand better my colors? Like, this seems like there's so many things out there, so much noise about what I should be looking like and like how to follow all these trends. And I feel overwhelmed. Where does somebody start? Do you have something practical for shaping their style?
Well, you hire me.
Oh, I
No,
know,
but
I want to.
in all seriousness, giving some practical tips and starting points. Fall, I think that you should sit down and be able to kind of separate what the society expects you to be and expects from you, that you feel that the society expects from you, versus who you are and who you want to be. Because the next step will be how to show up. So to answer questions like, sit down and answer questions like, what's my lifestyle? Like, how do I want to show up? What's my lifestyle? What are my goals? Personal goals, professional goals, and then find almost like a strategy for your personal image and like professional image that will be on the same page with your goals, your lifestyle, and where you are at professionally and personally as well. So then you can see more like implementing that plan, in what direction you need to go. And okay, how much time do I have to put an outfit together? Then how are my weeks? How can I plan outfits ahead? Like, or maybe if you feel like I don't know how to do it or I need help, that's when you hire someone. But there are things that you can do by yourself. Of course, that as it happens with things, when something is not your specialty, it takes you extra time than if you hire someone that it's their specialty. Right. In this case, is it impossible? No, it's not impossible, but maybe the result you're going to get is not going to be the same one than as if you work with someone that you hire for that. But what is amazing about, working with the image and style is that there are literally options for everyone, for everyone. So it's really tailoring that to you. And that's why I starting by, first of all saying, try to live on the side what the society expects from you, what you feel that the society expects from you, and prioritize who you are. Because when you are connected with who you are, then you can know what you want.
Very powerful. And I also hear in that the implication that budget can also be not a prohibitive element, but again, knowing what you want to show up like and honoring that can still align your possibilities with your budget. It's not that you have to be, spending on the latest fashion to be stylish, right? It's still honoring who you want and then finding items aligned to that more than just like how expensive they are.
Yes, definitely not. And like, even if you live somewhere like in America or like many places in Europe that you have, a ton amounts of different brands with different prices. So it's really about planning ahead and not being impulsive when it comes to buy clothes. And, I like, especially when it comes to seeing something like certain item on another person and like, ooh, I love that. And then like putting that on, as you will be the other person, as you will have the same colors and the same, everything, the same body shape and the same lifestyle, the same goals. But what I would advise, if you see something that you like, if you see someone else wearing something that you like, an entire outfit or a specific item, like take a photo of it, make notes, what you like from it. Do you like how they are wearing it? Do you like the color? Do you like the shape? It's a lot of times I put this comparison, like when you need to buy furniture for your apartment, you go and see like a table, an amazing dining table and a window, and you're like, oh, I love that one, I'm going to take it. And then it's not going to even fit in your apartment. Or you start thinking about like, okay, but what are the chairs I have?
Yeah.
What are the colors? You know, what are the materials? Is this glass? Do I have kids? And, you know, maybe the pointy glass are not going to be safe enough. You start thinking about so many things, right?
Yeah.
Functionality, size, color, materials, texture, like so many things. But people usually don't do that with their closets, because it's so much easier to go and buy a shirt or a t-shirt or whatever it is, and then like just hanging on your wardrobe and like just to stay there forever and maybe never wearing it. So that's why it's about like really being strategic about it and thinking beforehand in order to then save time and save money as well.
I'm definitely guilty of that. I have so many things in my closet. I'm like, when was the last time I wore that, or even ever? One thing that you've mentioned a couple of times is color. And I know that that's your passion. And why is color something you're really about in this space?
Oh, don't let me start you. Color is a really, really powerful tool that everyone literally in the world has to it. Because even by like closing your eyes, you can visualize a color that you need to uplift your mood, or like even to make a change, and not like, you know, mentally, but could be physiologically. For example, red is a color that can make your pressure higher, you know? So that's really interesting about color. And like, even when you are looking at me right now, or if you look to your left or to your right, like you can observe colors. We don't live like a black and white life or a gray life in terms of, you know, we are seeing colors every time, all the time, in absolutely everything. And we take multiple decisions per day about color. Even when you go and get a mug, if you have like 2 or 3 options, you are like picking one, and that one is maybe different, has different colors than the other one. When you're going to pick a shirt, like a pair of like trousers, whatever it is, you are making many decisions about color. But what is true is that people are only conscious about 20% of their decisions about color. So what about if you live more consciously your life when it comes to colors? And colors have the power. Okay, I mentioned at the beginning that it's a tool, right? And it's a tool that it helps you to communicate with other people. If you're creating a brand logo, for a presentation, for whatever it is, or if you're studying, making notes, what pen you're using, what highlighter, colors are literally in everything, and each of them has a different energy, you know? So they communicate things. And then at the same time, when we wear color, so, you know, as you can see, I've been talking about color, but I haven't said much about like wearing it. I mean, because it's a tool that it's not only like, you know, applied when you wear it. Then when you wear that color, it's like you are seeing yourself with that color throughout that entire day or hours that you use it, if it was for a specific event. So even if you are not leaving your apartment or your house, that color is, you know, is energy that is on you. So, you know, it could make you feel one way or in a different way. And we have different ways to associate, like, you know, colors. One of them is personal. So, you know, as let's say, when I was 5, my mom used to always dress me in this like pink dress, and I didn't like it that much. So I got over it. So now I hate that shade of pink.
Right.
So that will be like personal association. The other one is psychological association, which that one is like we are born with it. And the third one is more like cultural association. So it could be, you know, could be also religious. So what it means in your family or in your religion or in your country. So it has more to do with like society and like that changes in different parts of the world. You know, in the UK, there is a funeral and everyone is like wearing like all black. But then in India, there is a funeral and everyone is wearing all white. And if you show up in black, they will look at you as in the same way that they will look at you in the UK if you go to a funeral wearing all white, right? And I have many, many examples for this, but just to give you like all those different 3 associations. And then besides seeing yourself wearing the color, if you are going to a meeting with a friend, business meeting, or whatever it is, you are communicating with the other person So they see you through the color you're wearing. Even you are not talking about like, style or looks or what, like they are seeing you through the color you're wearing. And that's how they are perceiving you. That's one of the important points of your image.
Yeah.
So that's why it's really, really, really important. And different colors can different messages. So as I was saying before, as I was mentioning before, when we talked about style and your image and, taking responsibility on that and being intentional on that, the same counts when we talk about colors, being also intentional with that. So you can take your goals to the next level. If your image, the colors you're wearing and everything are aligned with, let's say, one specific goal that you have at a business meeting. So all of that goes in hand with what you are saying. So there is, just a thread, like things being like consistent, what you say, how you move, what you're wearing, colors you're wearing, powerful.
It's amazing to me how there's so much power in simple things. In color, colors all around us, like we take it for granted, and yet it's so powerful. Just hearing that companies spend so much money on the psychology of color, and they're constantly studying how do you react to, again, what people see, what their customers see, because they understand the value of that. And so I think it's beautiful that you bring it up, that you're sporting your beautiful green, the green that you're also having your brand. So it's beautiful to see you represent that love for your color as well. And I know we're here in deep in discussion, but I'm just, is there maybe one or two examples of people you worked with where, through working with you, they enriched their life through their style, through their color, whatever experience they had by collaborating with you?
Well, I think that the fact that I had multiple clients who were not wearing color because they felt so lost when it came to color. Like, oh, how do I pick them? Sometimes I got something colorful because I saw it on someone else, but then I never wore it because I didn't even know how to wear it and how to combine it with other color. Like, so feeling so lost about it, and then helping them find their style, but also their connect with their identity and who they are and what they like when it comes to color as well. Because, for example, when I do a color analysis session, that's one part of it, a really important part of it. It's all about saying what are the colors that when you put them next to your face, so with no makeup or anything. So, your hair color, your eye color, your skin undertone, what are the colors that bring out the best out of you? Then besides that, that is something that, I can see, and I do it putting different fabrics of different colors next to your face. But then besides that, it's really important what colors you like. So as I mentioned before, personal associations, which ones you like, which ones make bring you like the best memories, or make you feel best and make you feel empowered. So it's funny because a lot of times after the sessions that I have with my clients, they're like, oh, this almost felt like, therapeutic. This has been like so therapeutic. So then they walk in their closets and they're like, oh my gosh, I feel like I have, new closet. I feel like fresh. I feel like I have so much guidance in terms of like what colors to pick, how I pick them, when I go out shopping, how to find. So it's a lot about encouraging them to connect with who they are and who they want to become and what they like. If they are not finding this like room for that themselves, to kind of like, move things around and to be like, here, you have it. Now, who you want to be, like, and really like making all that, turning all that like outside noise off. It's like putting all those like voices of like what other person says they like, or the, society or whatever. And it's like, but what about you?
Yeah. I think we talked a lot about a lot of decisions and colors. And I know that sometimes it can feel overwhelming, but what we're also trying to highlight, I think, is that it's fun. It could also be very empowering. It could be fun. It could be freeing to shift that perspective from just about, fashion, but really seeing your own style, honoring. You consistently talked about honoring what's right for you, not society, but you, and not looking a certain way, but looking a way that feels like it's energizing you every day in a unique way, in a fun way. So I love that we are clarifying some of these misconceptions in a way I hope our audience feels excited, empowered, joyed
Yes.
to look at their clothes and
Yes.
the colors around them.
Yes, exactly. To not look at, oh, what am I gonna wear? Almost as if it's something bad. It's like you can pick, you
Mhm.
can decide. But what I always say is, that we make the best decisions and we feel that freedom to make the best decisions when we know, when you
Yeah.
have the knowledge. And when I say the knowledge, I don't mean the knowledge of, studying like image consulting or styling. No, I'm not saying
Right.
that. But I mean the knowledge of like, okay, who you are, who do you want to be, how you want to show up, and to start from there. So when people go to their closets and they are like standing in front of like, multiple racks or shelves of like, clothes, and they're like, oh, I have a lot of clothes, but nothing to wear.
Yeah.
That phrase that we listen to times, like including myself, because it happened to me too. It's not that of course it's not that thing because you have like tons of, piles of like clothes in front of you, but it means that you are not finding anything or feeling anything that goes with your energy that day, with how you
Yeah.
feel or where you are going to or how you want to feel. You are not finding something that will be on the same page with that. So if you're starting from like the outside, looking at that, maybe, and just that, maybe you're not find it. It's about thinking, okay, where am I going to? What does my calendar look like? How do I want to show up?
Mm.
How do I feel today? How do I want to feel? And
Yeah.
then take it from there, having
Yeah.
all that knowledge, all those answers, then decide, make the decisions.
Absolutely. You know what recently came to mind too for me? It's been powerful. Again, I work from home. Well, I'm creating this whole business from home. I have boys, but recently I decided, what if I just show up as my best self every day? As opposed to like, oh, I'm going to dress up today because it's a special day or an occasion or day. What if we're doing it for ourselves? To your point, how the colors we put on, like it makes us feel a certain way. And what if
Yeah.
every day was worth living our best day? Because why the heck not? And that's been really interesting for me to play around and say, like, I'm not maybe dressing up, but showing, maybe putting a little bit of like CC cream or whatever I normally would not have done, because I'm saying, well, what does it look like my best today? And it can look at
Yeah.
different levels at your comfort. Like, but that's been a really powerful motivation for me to do something a little bit different each day.
Yeah, totally. And then you can even have like, do like maybe start small, because that's when it's, you can start, okay, I'm going to do it for this week, starting
Yeah.
on Monday or whatever day you want.
Yeah.
And then you can keep a diary, like, okay, what did I do today?
Mhm.
What am I gonna do? Or you do it at the end of the day, or both. You can
Yeah.
start in the morning and real simple and quick. Like, what do I feel like doing today in a different way to show up as my best self? Okay,
Yeah.
I applying CC cream, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And then when the day finishes, like okay, now that the day finished, how did I feel
Mm.
showing up as my best self? I felt more empowered. I was able to feel more.
Mhm.
Whatever it is, and
Yeah.
like registering that for a week or so. And then like you can look at that and sure that you will be surprised for good.
Oh, Holly, I love this discussion. I feel like we can go for 7 more hours.
No, me too. Me too. I'm so
I know.
passionate about it. Can you tell?
I got a slight feeling around that. Well, you're amazing. This has been so fun. Personally, just reconnecting with you has been great. Just seeing what you've done and grown has been very inspiring. But before we wrap up, is there anything that I missed that you want to share for our audience before we have 3 rapid fire questions?
What I have to say is what I also, in a kind of way I've been already saying, is, show up like as you really want to be. Like, if you show up as you want to be, being your authentic self, that's what are going to be living your life to the fullest. So yeah, it's like living as your true self. It's a journey that, I think that nothing could be better than that. It's like a journey like tailored to yourself, who you are, what you want, who you want to be. Yes,
Absolutely.
that.
And all of you listening, you have this permission. Wherever you are in your journey, you have this permission. You have some of these tools. You have these clothes, unless you're a nudist, which is, hey, you're also showing some style. You have this tool to show up every day in a certain way and to bring certain energy into it. So I hope you feel empowered, refreshed, and actually excited to use it in a new way if this is a little bit new to you, or just empowered to go on your journey if this is already something you're comfortable with. And we're going to wrap up 3 rapid fire questions. So let me know whenever you're ready.
Okay, I'm ready.
Okay, first one. Why is your favorite color green?
Because it's fresh, and fresh really goes, with me and how I am, my personality. And then also because it really helps you to focus and to concentrate and to calm the mind as well. If you think about it, since you were a little baby that you don't even remind, while you were going on the stroller on the street somewhere, you were looking at the sky, but also seeing a lot of green leaves, green grass. So green is a color that is always been familiar to your mind since you were born. And always, it doesn't matter in what city or country you lived, it was always there, and that's green. So that's why it's that calm, and helps you concentrate, focus, and gives you freshness.
I love it. I also kind of like green if you see the background.
I love it.
I love
we are
it.
matching.
I know. I'm prepared.
Never not matching.
Okay, second. I know this is hard, but what is your favorite go-to accessory?
Ooh, so hard. Why so hard? I'm obsessed with accessories. If I need to pick only one, sunglasses or eyeglasses, if it's night.
Okay, fair. Okay, last but not least, in the positive context, going off track is?
Going off track is living your truth, which is really unique and probably not on track.
I love you're amazing. Thank you for bringing so much inspiration. And I just want to do one quick shout out that for me, part of the purpose of the podcast is to make it a positive impact in the world. And right now, I'm really excited to partner with the amazing nonprofit Ready to Empower, which has been around for 10 years now, helping empower women worldwide. And this year, they're raising $50,000, 100% of which goes to operation costs, And so if you feel inspired to do something good in the world, you have this fresh energy, please share whatever you feel comfortable with. The description is in the link, and I just feel so grateful for you helping out. And any final words to our listeners who have gratefully invested this time in themselves, and now anything else you want to share with them?
Well, picking back on what I was saying, as you said, like a final message, I just want to say that sometimes living your truth and finding yourself could sound like something easy or simple, but simple is not necessarily easy, and it takes time and work. So, don't feel like, oh, but I don't know like what I want, and thinking that it should be like that.
Yeah.
It's a journey. So take your time. It's a journey. Enjoy it. It's about self-discovering, and we are really evolving and growing all the time. So find your authentic self and do things daily that bring you happiness and joy.
Oh, beautiful. Beautiful. Thank you for this inspiration. To listeners, please follow Loli. You have to check out her style. She just puts out incredible content and it's so inspiring, even for me who feels like I am very not stylish, but it gives me inspiration for like, what could that look like? What creativity can go into it, and makes me just like, what can I show up? How could I show up in that way in my life a little bit more? So thank you. And as always, thank you so much for everybody to come, right? Thank you so much, everybody, for coming right off track with us. We look forward to having you next time. Take care.